Hi and welcome back to Broadsheet Melbourne Around Town. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. I'm Katja Vakdal, Broadsheet's editorial director and the host of this 10-minute guide to Melbourne. Let's get into it. Pidapipo is one of our favourite Melbourne gelati spots, and last year they opened what they're calling a lab on Brunswick Street in Fitzroy. Beautiful, quite small and sleek building where not only are they making gelati, they've also got a chocolate room. And here to talk about it with us today is Broadsheet Publications Director Nick Connellan. Tell us about the chocolate that is now available at Pidapipo.
Yeah, so it's available at all of their locations in store, and they're keeping it pretty classic to start with. So they've got a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate and a white chocolate. Not
just that, though, they're also adding beautiful nuts to some of those chocolate bars.
Yeah, so Lisa's always really had a passion for hazelnuts from Piedmont. So
and Lisa Valmorbida is the owner and founder of Pidapipo?
Yeah, so she's always had a passion for those hazelnuts, and then she's also doing almonds and macadamias and kind of pairing them in different types of chocolates, and then also what they call panning products, which is the actual coated nuts. So you can kind of mix and match and get what you want.
What do these look like? I feel like when it comes to Pidapipo, everything is incredibly considered and the design that goes into everything they do is so beautiful.
I don't want to unwrap them. It'd be ruining them to unwrap them. You know, they've got this beautiful geometric branding that really recalls those kind of geometric tiles and that sort of thing that you see in Italy. They're gorgeous. And
they're not just making chocolate bars. Tell us about these Easter eggs.
Yeah, so you can get kind of a plain egg if you want, if that's your speed. You can get dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate. But they're also doing some really cool flavors, including caramelized coconut, hazelnut gianduja, which is that kind of yummy, liquidy chocolate sauce, basically Nutella. You know, if Nutella is a generic product, it's gianduja, and salted caramel as well. So.
Delicious. I was lucky enough to try some of the chocolate last year, just as they'd opened, and I went into the chocolate room and saw the chocolate being tempered, which is beautiful. It just gets so glossy and so shiny. I think we've got another thing to add to our Easter shopping list. Thanks, Nick.
Pleasure.
Le Meridien is a French hotel brand that has not had a property in Melbourne since the early 2000s. But this month, it just opened its new luxury hotel on Bourke Street. Here to talk about it is broadsheet writer James Williams, who had a sneak peek at the hotel before it was open to the public. Welcome, James.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I think before we get into the hotel and its rooms and the beautiful rooftop pool, that I think is going to be one of the highlights for people staying at the hotel. This is a pretty storied site that Le Meridien is now occupying. Can you tell us a little bit about the history? Because this is one of those places that people in Melbourne will have strong feelings about.
Yes, it's right up at the top end of Bourke Street, right near Parliament House. And so it has had a very storied history. Back in the 1850s, when Bourke Street was just a dirt road, it began as a hotel, the Hotel Excelsior, and it's had a few different names since then. But it also kind of has had a zigzaggy history going between being a theatre and a nightclub and a music hall and then a Pentecostal church for a minute and then back into a theatre, which is probably what I think most people would know the site as.
Yeah, it is the site of the Palace Theatre in the city, which is a place that many Melburnians would have spent time in. It was also Metro nightclub for about 20 years. Again, a place a lot of Melburnians would have spent time in. And of course, when the Palace closed or shut down several years ago, Melburnians were pretty upset.
They were very defensive over their memories there and the nights that they all shared.
The facade remains, but it has now been taken over by this luxury hotel. It's the way of a lot of old buildings in cities around the world.
Yes, the Art Deco facade is intact, but then everything behind it is new.
Okay, so tell us about the new. Tell us about Le Meridien.
It's quite a beautiful hotel, I have to say. They've taken inspiration from all of the existing sites that were there beforehand. There's a lot of theatre motifs and stage motifs interwoven throughout all the floors, and every floor takes on the history in a different way. But I think the real theatre starts when you enter the lobby and you descend this like magnificent marble staircase that spirals down to the restaurant downstairs, which is Dolly.
Now, the way you described this restaurant in the story was that everything seems to sparkle or shimmer. I believe your exact words were that it was like stepping inside a silver screen.
It really is, because as soon as you descend the staircase, you enter the bar, which is red carpet and these kind of like modular sofas that look very much like a theatre lobby. And then you're looking into the restaurant where quite literally everything sparkles. There's like big arch mirrors on all the walls that reflect the banquet seating. And then there's this sparkly chrome fluting that divides the banquettes as well as like flanks along the side. So it's just quite literally sparkling vibes.
Oh, great.
So they have some signature cocktails on offer, and they're created with the Everleigh Bottling Co.
Right.
And yeah, they're named after musicians that performed there. So there's one particular one called Vanity, which is named after the muse and supposed protege and one-time lover of Prince. It's a martini, but with a purple twist, naturally.
Of course.
It has to be with Prince.
It has to be.
Anything else would have been wrong. But Prince and Melbourne have quite a good relationship. He's come here a few times and he's known to do a few side gigs in addition to his stadium tours. He was here in about 2014 for his tour, and when he was about to go onto stage to perform, on that day he found out that Vanity had passed at the age of 57, and he dedicated one of the songs to her in her memory. It was Little Red Corvette, I believe. And he kind of went on these beautiful little monologues trying to commemorate her and celebrate her life. And so they've named this drink Vanity in honor of Prince and Vanity and Prince's relationship with Melbourne.
Okay, so leaving the bar and the restaurant, let's go to the bedrooms. How many are there and what do they look like?
So there are 235 rooms, and they are all very inspired by mid-century Melbourne. And it's the whole design of the room is an ode to mid-century Melbourne. Underfoot, there's carpet that is actually like a map of Melbourne and its tram tracks. And then all the furniture is mid-century style and these dark woods. And they all have a unique art piece as well, and a few art books as well, architecture and art. And then in the suites, there's a turntable as well as a few vinyl collections of performers who played in Melbourne. So there's James Brown as well as Prince and a few others.
Let's get to the pool.
So you go up to level 5 and you see this beautiful rooftop pool overlooking Bourke Street and Parliament House. It's interesting that it's on level 5 because a lot of the time you'd think it's either ground floor or quite high up on the actual full rooftop of the building, but you're kind of nestled into the cityscape, eye level, with like offices across the road. There's rooftop bars, so you're able to people watch everyone on the rooftop of the Imperial, which I think would be extremely fun. So they serve lobster rolls and champagne that you can order to the pool. And the idea of eating a lobster roll, lounging on a sunbed while you can look at the office workers in the buildings adjacent is just beautiful to me.
I know what you'll be doing on the weekend. I've often had people ask, where should we stay with a pool in Melbourne? And to be honest, there aren't that many hotels that have them, and certainly not outdoor, certainly not a rooftop. So that's really exciting. Thanks for coming in and telling us about the hotel, James.
Thank you for having me.
That's all we've got time for today. As always, you can stay up to date at broadsheet.com.au or on Instagram at broadsheet_Melb. I'll see you again next week, same time, same place.